take one preliminary matter to discuss very briefly.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll speak for the defense. And excuse me for the arms crossed. I seem to be freezing in the courtroom for some reason. I did want to just go briefly revisit, not revisit, but ask for clarification or a little guidance on the ruling that you made at the bench when opposing counsel asked about the door being open. And we chatted for just a few moments, and I really just wanted to double check with the court because we don't want to be jumping up at the bench with the jury's here and all that kind of stuff. So our concern was the scope of whatever discussion will be had on redirect, and I understand for you to say that any inquiry they make now on redirect will be very limited. And so my understanding of that, that's why I thought I'd better about it quickly, is the testimony was simply relating to, not even testimony, it was the video that was presented of the family, the limited video of the family on the Howard Stern program. And as we explained, we were introducing that because that's relevant to the plaintiff's understanding of this line between public and private, and him bringing his family on the Howard Stern show and their private lives being made public like that. And that was our relevance. And when you sustained your objection, we stopped there. We didn't introduce anything else. Then there was the question, and this is what confused me, and my mind starts wandering. That's my job here, right? When they asked about the door being open and them being allowed inquiry, and you said it would be very narrowly limited. I was hoping you could give us some guidance now so we can avoid any possible concerns during the redirect.
Right after I said that, Mr. Kell said you were all going to talk during the lunch break. And so I don't know what's happened, so I don't know what it's a big thing.
What I told them before she basically reiterated the entire speech we had at the bench was that I'm not going to ask my client any questions about that on redirect. So I didn't, they wanted to do this, so.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought he was going back to the stipulation, and I understood that the plaintiff's counsel said he would be asking about their emotional distress from the videotape. Our concern is more than that. It is also the fact that we were stopped at that point.
And Judge, let's be extremely clear so the court knows, Judge. Everybody was told, I'm not asking any questions. If it comes up later, we'll deal with it then.
Thank you all very much. Everybody can be seated. Hopefully you had a nice lunch. All right, so where we left off at the end was Mr. Hogan and Mr. Cox examination. Mr. Kell, Mr. Balea on redirect.
Thank you. Can we please the court, Mr. Balea, a few follow-up questions for you. In this time period that you were in New York, between the or around the press tour, you had mentioned, and Mr. Sullivan had shown you this TMZ interview where you find out that Bubba makes these comments on the tape. Do you recall seeing that video?
Where Bubba makes comments on the tape.
The comments about retirement?
I saw the TMZ video.
In court today, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. How many days before that TMZ interview did you find out that Gawker had published the sex video?
Best of my recollection, it was before I went on the publicity tour, 4 or 5, maybe a week, but when I found out about the sex tape, I was just despondent. It was just, everybody was trying to talk me into not going on the tour, but it was before the tour, a week, maybe 4 or 5 days.
And that's what I was going to ask you. You mentioned, and I don't know if the jury picked it up in the long answer, that hearing about the Bubba thing was icing on the cake. Could you explain what you meant by that?
It was icing. I meant icing on the cake because when the video came out, it just totally flipped my world upside down. And I just remember going days without being able to sleep. It was a situation where all this media stuff was affecting my personal life, where I just had a hard time functioning or eating or anything like that. I could just function on autopilot. It was just a constant barrage, whether I was outside or going to the store or anything, instead of saying, "Hello, Hulk, how you doing?" It's like, "Hulk, I heard about the sex tape," or "Hulk, did you make the sex tape?" or "Hulk, are you part of the sex tape?" or "Good job, Hulk, we love the sex tape." Everything changed in my life from that point onward. It flipped my world completely upside down, and I had a really hard time just functioning, in my house. After I left my house, my whole life changed. And then what I was referring to as the icing on the cake, I was confiding in Bubba during that time when that tape was out, and I was like as down as far as I could totally go because of the tape being out, and Bubba saying, "I'm going to fight this thing with you. I'm your best friend. I'm a lawyer. Heather did it." And I was believing in Bubba, and even though I was really down, he was my only hope. I was hanging on to that. And then when I found out Bubba on that day released the tape, it was icing on the cake. Then there was a little shift that lasted for a couple days or so. I had to regroup and rationalize that this guy is not my friend. And it still has been the same with my life being flipped upside down as of, even yesterday, I walked out of the courtroom, and first thing, "Hey, Hulk, good luck on the sex tape." Before all this happened, that was never mentioned to me. That was never constantly thrown in my face. That was never a 24-hour-a-day thought that people had, and it's still the same. It's worse.
You had talked to the jury during direct about the difficult times in 2007, but by 2012, had you done as much as you could to have kind of regrouped in life?
Well, I had, moved forward and met my new wife, Jennifer, and was doing everything I could to try to get on my feet, knowing that my past life and everything that was going on, here's a new fresh start. And I met Jennifer, and she was very spiritual, very, very aware, didn't read the newspaper, anything like that. So I had this new situation where I was in a great relationship, and I thought I had everything behind me. And then when the sex tape hit, my whole world went upside down, and everything changed from my personal life to life on the street. And I thought I had my act together again, and I was moving forward, and this tape totally sabotaged me again.
Mr. Sullivan asked you to tell the jury whether you went to see doctors or counselors or sought treatment for physical ailments, but did it affect you physically?
Yes, sir, it did.
Could you tell them how?
Well, not being able to eat, not being able to sleep, constantly thinking about it, 24 hours a day. It's not something you can walk away from. It's something that sticks with you. And just my demeanor, I just felt like I was turned inside. That's the only way I can really describe it. I just felt like I was turned inside. So if I was meeting a fan or meeting a kid or whatever, I felt like I was so used to protecting these kids and being honest with them and telling them to do good and, be cool and eat food or train, say your prayers, eat your vitamin. It was such a positive thought that I felt like if I tried to talk to anybody, especially the kids, there was this aura around me that I just felt like I was exposed, and I couldn't say the right thing to these kids and tell them the right thing to do, or people without them thinking, "Oh my God, he's involved in the sex tape," and it was just constantly on my mind. It's just like this overhanging cloud that will not lighten up, because that is the topic that's on everybody's mind, this sex tape that they put out.
The TNA tour, the Bound for Glory tour, had been booked, based on your recollection, how far in advance of October 4th?
Well, usually you have to book things at least a couple months in advance, so that would be a couple months for sure.
Was there discussion about canceling the tour?
Yes, sir, there was.
Did you agree to cancel it?
No, sir, I thought we should do, I felt that I should move forward and not hide from this.
Who is Jules Wortman? Could you tell the jury who Jules Wortman is?
Jules Wortman at the time was the publicist that worked for TNA that set up all these interviews and would talk to all the producers and handle the publicity tour.
So when Mr. Sullivan asked you all these questions about whether you talked to Howard Stern or the TMZ guys beforehand about staying off this topic, and you kept referring to a publicist, would that have been the person who you were referring to for this particular tour?
Yes, sir, it would.
And you mentioned the word protocol. Do you ever handle that part of it?
No, sir.
Sex tape, no sex tape. When you're on a media tour for wrestling, do you ever handle that part of it?
No, sir.
We're going to show some of the Howard Stern clip that was cut off, where you're asked a question and then there's no answer. Let's get a couple things timing-wise for the jury. Was the Howard Stern show that you were on the Bound for Glory tour before or after you had the discussion with TMZ?
Could you please restate that?
When you went on Howard Stern with Bound for Glory, was that before you had this discussion with TMZ where they talked about Bubba and all that stuff we saw?
There was a call before where it was talked about.
Were you on Stern before that? Do you remember the itinerary?
I'm confused with that question, I'm sorry.
Sure. When you go on the Stern show, you're
Yes.
the aqua blue shirt we're going to show you. You
Yes.
recall that interview occurred before you had the TMZ phone call and all of that?
No. I went on Howard Stern. I was actually defending Bubba at that time, and I was saying, you know, there's no way, you know, this tape that Gawker released, Bubba would never do that.
And I take it from that that was before you had heard from TMZ, the Stern show.
Yes, that day. Yes, sir, that day.
Why, you know, the jury's gotten to see a little bit bits and pieces of Howard Stern in some of these more graphic shows, but could you tell them whether Howard Stern, when you're doing a wrestling tour, is an important show to do?
Yes, Howard Stern is very important because, like I said before, if you get on the Howard Stern show, it opens up opportunities to get on other shows, especially as a wrestler, because a lot of a lot of entertainment shows sometimes, like J-Lone or something like that, might say, you know, I don't want to wrestle on there, but Howard Stern kind of changes the game for you. If you get on Howard Stern, that kind of like makes you more important than if you don't get on Howard Stern.
Does his demographic match up with the demographic you're trying to reach as a wrestler?
Across the board, yes, sir. It's middle America, NASCAR, males 18 to 55. It's the perfect demo for wrestling.
All right, I want to show you now, we're going to show that video. If you remember on direct, Mr. Sullivan played you like a question, and then there was some corporate stuff going on. I want to show the answer in part of that video there. If you can pull that up. I think this is Defense 302B. Is that correct?
Which I have to take it away. I'm going to present something to you.
Yeah.
Make you look like a god. I mean, A, you don't look physically bad, you look good.
Well, that's part of it.
She's screaming about your big thick cock. I mean, dude. I mean, if I was in a tape, you could go and be like, when are you going to put it in? You come off like a stud. Honest to God, are you kidding me? Do you think you come off bad in that tape? I mean, what's the analyze? What's going on?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I've
And then you pull away
seen probably about 15 seconds of it.
All right, well, I've seen
It got me so sick to my stomach and my chest, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I'm telling you, dude, it has totally turned my life upside down.
All right, if you could bring that back up, I mean, just a still shot, so we can take a look.
Please.
This right there. Have you had a chance in this trial? You've seen these tapes, right? How did your face look? How did you feel right there that day?
That day I was on autopilot. I was devastated. I was just overwhelmed going up to New York with the tape out. It was like I was numb. It was almost like it was not really happening. It just, I couldn't get by a moment of the day without someone bringing it up.
Were you tired?
I hadn't slept. I was very tired.
I want to shift gears. You can take that down now, John. I want to shift gears to this book they talked about. And Mr. Sullivan asked you questions about the affair with Christian Plante, I think it is. At the time the book was written, had that already been put out in the news?
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Sullivan asked you questions about the Inquirer. Had the Inquirer already published a story about this?
Yes, sir.
Was there anything in your book about Heather Plante?
No, sir.
There's a section of pictures in your book. Are there any naked pictures in there?
No, sir.
Was there a DVD inserted in your book showing you having sex with Christian Plante?
No, sir.
The book was published in what, 2009?
I'm not sure of the date.
I want to talk about something off the reality show. Mr. Sullivan showed you a clip. First of all, let me back up. How many episodes did you shoot of that show, Hogan Knows Best?
There were 4 or 5 seasons, and I'm not sure if it was an 8 or 10 or maybe a 12 episode order, depending on how much they believed in the show. They might have ordered an extra show depending on how the ratings were, so I don't have an exact number.
Is 4 or 5 seasons a fair number to give the jury? I mean,
Series, yeah, it's a series of shows. Seasons makes me think yearly, but a season can be,
I got it. There was more
Okay.
than one. It didn't last. The season didn't last a whole year, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. The clip, I want you to explain to the jury the dynamic that's at play on the set of a TV show when you're shown there like you were with the shirt on, but obviously sitting on the toilet. Does that idea come from you or the producer?
That's the producer.
And would it be fair to say that that idea is no different than perhaps on a movie set when a sex scene is shown? And I mean a real movie, like in the movie theater.
Oh, a real movie, okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, recently I just went to see a movie, and can't remember the name of it, but it had a friend of mine, John Cena, and I went to see the movie because John Cena was in the movie, and all of a sudden, in the movie they've got John Cena on top of a comedian, some Amy Schumacher, having sex with this woman in the movie. It kind of caught me off guard, but I understand it's part of the storyline and the plot, and John's an actor, and John Cena's playing a character in that, so it was kind of like the same thing. It felt like the same thing when the producer said, sit on the toilet, and they even, like I said, they put sound effects to add comedy to it, so it was part of what they wanted. I would never personally say sit on a toilet and add noises and bathroom noises. That was all their stuff.
With all the times you went on TMZ and we've seen 2 or 3 different snippets from different interviews, did TMZ ever post the video?
No, sir.
They wrote about it, right?
Yes, they did.
And you talked to the jury about the fact that you understood that was part of what you bought into as a celebrity, that you have to suffer those stories, right?
Yes, sir. The writing, that's part of what happens. Yes, sir.
They put up sort of a grainy still picture, did they not?
Yes, they did.
Did you ever sue TMZ?
No, but I had a problem with the picture. I had my attorney send it a cease and desist, and they took it down.
Did the dirty, I don't know if anybody ever told the jury what the dirty.com is. Do you know what the dirty.com is?
Best of my understanding, it's another website like Gawker that puts stuff up like this.
Did the dirty.com ever put the video up?
To the best of my recollection, it was the video or the still, but we sent a cease and desist, and they took it down.
Did you ever sue the dirty?
No, sir, because we realized they were pushing the envelope and they were wrong, and it was the wrong thing to do. And as soon as we said cease and desist, they pulled it down because they knew they were wrong.
Did Stern ever put the video up?
No, sir.
Did Sway ever put the video up?
No, sir.
You did. Can you even tell the jury how many different interviews you did on the media tour, radio or TV, series, filming? Can you give me a number?
I could only guess. There was a bunch of them.
Did any of the media outlets you talked to during that tour put the video up?
No, sir.
As we sit here today, has anybody but Gawker put that 1 minute 40-second highlight reel sex tape up online?
To the best of my knowledge, Gawker's the only one that did this.
And I'm not including people that may have linked it off Gawker. I'm talking about when it was originally put up.
They're the only ones I know that did it. And we sent them a cease and desist too. They wouldn't take it down.
I've just got a few more questions. You had a lot of interplay with Mr. Sullivan about your deposition. Do you remember how many days you were under oath at your deposition?
Oh man, they called me a couple times. It was 3 or 4 days, all day long.
How many volumes of transcript is there up there in front of you? Did you look?
Is this ours?
I think it's the one you've been using the whole time. You can just count the
It
pages.
says 6 volumes, whatever that means.
How many pages?
$835 pages.
Mr. Belay, I just have a few more questions. Did you ever consent to having video and audio recording done of you having a private sex act with Heather Clem in a private bedroom at the Clem's house?
Never.
Did you ever consent to Gawker putting a highlight reel of that recorded act on their website, Gawker.com?
No, sir.
Did you ever consent to Gawker using your image, your likeness in any way, shape, or form for any purpose on their website?
No, sir.
Moment to confer, Judge. I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Could you please write them down? question. I have a question about the timeline. How much time was between the still photos shown and the video posted by Gawker? The parties have stipulated that the still photographs were in April 2012. The video was October 2012. There were some other additional questions, but those questions aren't with this witness. So you'll have to wait till later in the trial. All right, do you have any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Mr. Mooney, you can take your seat. We're going to take a quick break while we reset up the next witness. So here's your jury room review.
Yeah, Your Honor, just with some of these other witnesses that I said before, we're going to play portions of her deposition also. Some of it may be a little redundant for context, but there's certain portions that they make.
Are there any objections?
There are.
I have in front of me Clinton's final updated deposition designations for trial with defendant charges.
Right, and so the problems are, they provide slightly based on this morning's testimony. On our document, it's on page 39. The deposition testimony is page 89.5 to 90.14. And I think that this will be consistent through. I probably have one for it's this. When that starts,